Sheikh Rashid Al Maktoum's billions couldn't save him from a deadly blood cancer, but his wife somehow found a way. After being diagnosed with leukemia, a cancer of the blood, his life would never be the same. With only 3 months to live, times were bleak, but in the darkest days of his life, a saving angel could rescue him. Who was the angel? His wife? His beautiful, loving wife. But how did she save him? What caused the Sheik to lose hope even after being saved? Did these issues after the ordeal impact his relationship with his wife? Welcome to Crown Tale, and let's get right into today's video. Many times, we have the belief that the ultra-wealthy have no problems and no fears, as they live in this infinite pool of perfection. But Sheik Al Maktoum's ordeal with leukemia, which is a cancer of the blood, proves that's not always the case. Follow this story to see how this foreign wife was able to be the saving angel who pulled him out of his ordeal and also stood by him. Sheik Al Maktoum was born into wealth and affluence, as he is the nephew of the ruler of Dubai. His father, Ahmed Al Maktoum, is the president of various real estate and banking investment companies, making the Sheik an heir to a fortune worth of billions. But it seemed he was going to lose all this when he received a shocking diagnosis of leukemia and was given an average lifespan of just 3 months. Worse still, he had to battle with the idea of losing his family, his own beautiful family. Sheikh Maktoum met his wife, Nathanly Lincolnson, an Englishwoman, at the Equestrian Sports Club in Dubai. They shared a common love for horses, as she worked in the dressage while he completed in show jumpings. The Sheik was an avid lover of this sport, and in the year 2010, he became the vice champion for equestrian sports in the entire Asian continent at the Guangzhou Continental Games. It is safe to say this was the right spot for lovers to meet, and his decision to marry the beautiful Nathanly Lincolnson from England proved to be one of the most important decisions he made in his life. The first time they ever encountered each other was in the year 2015, and like in a fairy tale, they decided to get married a few months later. At this time, he was 25, while Nathanly was 26 years old. All seemed fine for the billionaire couple. They welcomed a daughter after a year of marriage and named her Hessa after her grandmother, Sheikh Maktoum's mother. 3 years later, they were blessed with another daughter, Alia. Their future seemed bright, and no one could expect the turn of events that would soon hit the family. It's important to note that earlier in their marriage, a lot of critics speculated that Nathanly only married to Sheik for his immense wealth. However, the selfless and incredible actions of Nathanly, when unprecedented tragedies befell on her husband, proved that these speculations couldn't be further from the truth. Everything seemed to be going perfectly for the Sheik until a few months after, when Alia was born. He was diagnosed with leukemia, a deadly form of blood cancer, and he was said to be terminally ill. The diagnosis claimed that 86% of his blood had been infected with this cancer, and his life expectancy was no more than 3 months. The Sheik was devastated and felt defeated by this news. All he felt he could do was resign to despair and live his remaining days with his friends and family in Dubai. It is safe to say that he lost the will to live and fight for his life. This would have been the end of his story, if not for the woman he married. Nathanly refused to accept that it was over. She refused to accept that the diagnosis was final, and she refused to be widowed in a few months. She kept telling her husband that there was still so much to fight for: their future as a couple, their 2 beautiful daughters, his legacy, and his life. She kept reminding him of the things in the world still worth fighting for. During this, Sheikh Maktoum wanted to be in Dubai, doing what he loved, doing till he eventually but tragically passed. But he soon realized the truth in what Nathanly was saying. He decided to fight. His desire to live again was reborn. He did not care about his condition and diagnosis. He decided to live once again for the sake of his daughters, his wife, and of course himself. His family and friends all gave him their love and support, including his uncle, the ruler of Dubai. In 2019, Sheik Al Maktoum travelled to London to get treatment for his ailment, but by the time it seemed too late, as the disease seemed to have already eaten too deep into his cells. Despite this, he underwent the surgery anyway. He was determined to live. After the intense chemotherapy he was put through, he lost 30 kilograms of body weight. The treatment almost seemed to be too intense for his frail body, but miraculously, he survived it. But just as things seemed to be heading in the right direction, another serious issue began to appear. He began to experience significant side effects due to his medication. The Sheik had to deal with severe fatigue and depression so much that for 6 entire weeks, he slept for 20 hours a day locked up in his home. For someone who lived such an active life, This type of existence was worse than imprisonment. He was noted saying that during this period he lost everything: his eyebrows, hair, beard, and most importantly, his identity. You would think he would have been lost in life. For him to experience such horrific side effects after the struggles he had just overcome, it must have been heartbreaking. But he continued to push on, believing that this ordeal had a deeper meaning, and he had to overcome it for his family, their future, and himself. The Sheikh spent 40 days undergoing shock chemotherapy and bearing its side effects until eventually something truly incredible happened. The leukemia reduced at such a drastic rate that the doctors could not believe it. The treatment was only meant to reduce his suffering because of how critical his condition was, but this speed and effectiveness of his recovery was absolutely unbelievable. The doctors claimed that in their experience, there were only very rare cases where the patients recovered in this way because they kept their desire to live. It could be that the patient's avid focus on surviving can set in motion some chemical arsenal within the body to combat ailments. This is what must have happened to Sheikh Maktoum, because in no time he recovered. But little did he and his wife know that there would be even more issues they needed to overcome together. After his victory over leukemia, Sheikh Maktoum had to deal with the side effects of his cancer medication for 2 long years, the worst of them being severe depression. It was as if he was losing his mind. But once again, his saving angel came to rescue once again. He was lucky to have Nathan Lee by his side in the second phase of challenges. She continued to do everything in her power to get him back to his usual self. She kept taking him to the equestrian club to reawaken his passion, which had seemed to die during his days of despair and depression. Her display of true love empowered the Sheikh to recover, showing how important it is to fight for what you believe in and for who you love, just as Prince Makteen fought for his love, which is an inspiring story we talk about in a previous video. Now, I'm sure you aren't surprised, but Nathan's support worked. Slowly and steadily, Sheikh Maktoum began to come alive again, began to come out of the shell of despair where he had been trapped in for too long. 2 years after beating leukemia, the Sheikh had recovered completely to who he was thanks to his wonderful and inspiring wife, who stayed supportive during his difficult years. Amazingly, the Sheikh is preparing to represent his country in the summer 2024 Olympic Games in equestrian sports. He believes he is back, stronger than ever before, with his beautiful wife by his side. He only visits the psychiatric once in a while for a checkup and doesn't allow negative thoughts to depict the trajectory of his life. Nathan Lee shows how important it is to be supportive to those you love during their darkest days, and she is experiencing great rewards. Her family has been kept together while she continues to scale heights in her passion for show jumping. With Nathan Lee by his side and his lovely daughters around him, Sheikh Maktoum can hope for a blissful future ahead, regardless of the challenges that may come. It is important to stand by those who we love, especially when times are tough. The story of Princess Amina and Dennis Abbas is another perfect example of this, which he talked about in another video, which you can check out here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.